We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Yo, it's Remember the Show. Slick with the flows, where the sparring can go. Who's gonna be on, man, you never will know. Guess you better tune in, cause we live from Chicago. Bilal Muhammad, that's the king of the tweets. Jason Anik looks like John, step his hands to his feet. Every Thursday, we gon' give you a treat. It's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat. And retweet, and retweet, and retweet. And retweet, it's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat.
Dude, I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't always happy to be here with you on Remember the Show. Appreciate you all being with us tonight. It is episode 139. Jason Anik joined by my brother, UFC welterweight champion Bilal Muhammad. You know, last time we did this show, October 15th, it was like 2 weeks ago, announcing your fight on December 7th, defending your welterweight championship belt against Shavkat Rakhmonov. As we now know, the fight is off yesterday, Halloween morning. Not a happy Halloween, by the way, bully. But for those of you who don't know, I'm going to just quickly read your tweet. Caught a bone infection in my foot. Had to put a PICC line in my arm for IV antibiotics for the next 6 weeks with no physical activity, accompanied by some graphic images. We got into a little bit in the pre-show. I love you, brother. This is serious stuff. Before we get into it, how are you, bro?
My brother, man, I miss you. Dude, looking at the last episode, I was like, bro, it's crazy how, fast life moves, right? And how stuff can switch up in the blink of an eye. Bro, I got a freaking a line coming through your arm that you have to walk around with for the next 6 weeks. But it also it kind of humbles you, right? It lets you know what's real in life, because you're on top of the world. You're a champion. You got a camp. And when I'm in camp, I'm locked in. And we were at the point in our camp where we were about 6 weeks out. And, we had 3 or 4 weeks of training already before that. So you started getting levels. I had guys that I was bringing in. So camp was starting to rev up. You're starting to feel good. You're excited. But then, my foot, it blew up the day after sparring. And I sparred the day before, but my foot was sore. And it wasn't a good day. And then coach might get, bro, what's wrong with your foot? I'm like, bro, it's all good. As fighters, you're just whatever. We'll just push through it. And then I messaged a doctor I know. Shout out to Mo Sal. He knew a foot specialist, Dr. DeBusa in Chicago. So I messaged both of them. They prescribed me antibiotics because they just thought it was staph infection. So we started taking antibiotics. I took 2 days off of training. And then my foot blew up even more, doubled in size. And I was just throbbing pain. And I was like, what the heck? So I messaged him. I was like, bro, what day do these antibiotics start today? He's like, bro, you need to go to the ER right away. And so we went to the ER, and I was like, fudge. And then as you saw, my toe was huge. So he's like, he's like, we got to cut it open to see. Hopefully, if pus comes out, that's a good thing. Because that means it's just superficial, and it'll just, you'll cut it out, and then you'll probably take 3 or 4 days off, and you can stitch it back up. You'll be all right. But he cut it, and nothing, a little bit came out, and he's like, we got to do MRI. So then we did an MRI, and then he's like, the bone lit up. So that means it was that said the infection was in the bone of the foot. And then it was starting to spread up the foot. So then he's like, we got to go into surgery right away. But he's like, that's what we were worried about, that the bone was going to light up. So we had to get put to sleep. We got up, and then obviously my first question is, bro, when am I going to train? When am I going to do that, bro? Yeah. So they had shout out to the doctors. They're some of the best, and they knew about fighting. So he's like, bro, I got tickets to your fight, so I want to get you back. But he's like, I'm not gonna lie to you, this is the worst case scenario. Wow. So he's like, they open it up, and he's like, bro, you had a broken foot, a broken toe, and then that's what caused the infection to hit the bone a lot faster. So then he said he was able to fix the toe, but he said the infection's still in there, but they are you got to be on antibiotics for the next 6 weeks. And I'm just bro, I'm like shocked, and I'm just like broken. I was like, bro, are you kidding me right now? And then, yeah, it was like heartbreaking.
Dude, I don't even know. Like, I mean, I don't even know where to begin, and it's really serious. And I'm glad you're being true. Even you just scratch the back of your head. You got a PICC line coming out of your arm. For those of you who don't know, like PICC line, right? I mean, it's like it gets it into your bloodstream better, right? They use them a lot for chemotherapy. Like, this is serious, bro.
Yeah, we gotta do IV every morning. I gotta do IV every freaking morning. And then we gotta like change the band-aids every week. So we gotta go to the hospital and we're getting blood tests every week just to check the infection. And I'm just like, bro, what if we do the blood test and the infection's like gone? And he's like, bro, you still have to do it for 40. You still have to do it for the 40 days. And I'm just like, this is gonna be the hardest thing because it's like I've never gone like 2 days without working out. In general, obviously, the losing a fight is like one of the most heartbreaking things because I had so many family and friends, and it's like T-Mobile Arena, and it's like a dream, and you're having a setting. You're like, we're finally on a roll, right? We just talked about the week before.
Yeah.
We're moving now, right? We got another fight. We feel good. We want a December date. And then you're like, everything's going good. And then once it happens, you're like you said, it just brings you back to reality of just like how quick.
Dude, and just carpet pulled out from under you, and life is interesting, right? And even knowing you, it's given me great perspective in my life, right? So the one thing I knew was that you'd have great perspective, but there's a lot of things that physical activity can do for the brain and the spirit and the mind. And I saw you were able to go out and pray today, right? I mean, even that probably was a respite.
Yeah, even the doctors like stay off it, but I'm just like, it's Friday, right? That's one of the holiest days for if you're a Muslim, you have to go to the mosque. And I never miss a Friday prayer. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna go. I don't even care. And I'm sitting there doing like crutches all the way up the thing, and I'm like dripping sweat. I'm like, all right, this feels like a workout. We're getting there.
Okay. All right. See, now I'm going to stop it. Can someone get my boy a wheelchair? If you must on Friday, then someone get my boy a wheelchair. And we can go back.
Shout out to Lou. Lou brought me a scooter, one of those scooters.
Oh, there you go.
But I was like, nah, I'm cool with the crutches. Let me get some like type of
dude,
what's it called, exercise, physical activity. But I'm like, nah, I got to take the scooter with me next time because the mosque, the parking lot's always full. So you park at the back of the parking lot, and I was just like, let me get this long walk. But yeah, it was a bad idea because I was like, bro, I'm like dripping sweat right now.
And it's like we get in a moment like this, and I'm like, there's my boy back, right? And we'll get through this, right? And what I will tell you as a 46-year-old man, right? You blink and it's Halloween, right? Putting out Halloween decorations. I just did this 6 weeks ago, right? I'm putting out Halloween decorations. What do you mean I just did it? I say it in the context that a year goes by quickly. And I did tweet something out that 15 months, you had to wait 15 months to fight for the belt, right? It's like, with respect, we're going to turn around. You're going to be healed up, right? But my question is like, you were in peak physical condition, right? And I understand you're going to get back there a lot more quickly. And I understand you'll probably be super disciplined with your diet. A lot of people would emotionally eat in this spot. Not you.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. That's Ian like messaging me right away. And he's like, bro, we got to stay locked in, especially because I can't start working out until December. So I'm like, I don't want to sit there and right when I'm able to, once they take the cuffs off, I'm going to go right into it, right? I'm going to just start. I already know how I am. I'm going to try to go full force. So I don't want to have extra 50 pounds on me where then I get another injury because you try to rush back in stupidly. So I'm like, I'm going to try to stay disciplined, stay good. And like I said, I got my family around me. And like you said, we were talking beforehand, right? I know it's God's plan for us being Muslim. I know there's a reason for it to happen. When God does something, people think that it's because, he hates you or this. It's God protecting you for something bigger, right? And it's a blessing for me to know that the doctor was telling me all the stuff that could have went wrong, right? He said 90% of the people that are unhealthy, it's amputation. It goes that way. And if it's already climbing up your foot, if you waited 2 more days later, it could have been worse with your bone, the climbing up your leg with your bone. And when you hear stuff about like how bad staph could be and how bad,
right?
Osteomyelitis, that's not even staph, that's deep into the bones. He's like, it gets worse. Like, I know
no
it's
doubt
bad right now, but just know that you caught it at the right time, the perfect time. And the way it was moving, because it was like 2 days, and he said, bro, it was climbing up your leg. Like, I sent him a picture, and then the next day, 2 days later, I sent him another picture, and I was like, bro, is this medicine working? And he's like, bro, you need to go to the hospital right now, because I don't know what the ER right now, because it needs to be checked.
Bro, and for those of us that care about you, like, I don't give a shit about your fight, with respect. You know what I mean? So get well. But bro, it is really interesting, right? Because the way you live your life and your perspective on life, right? And anyone who visits any of your social media pages, this is nothing given the world in which we live. You know?
100%, right? And it puts like you said, where I could sit there and I could cry about it, right? But I have medical treatment. I could go to a hospital, and when I think about my people in Palestine, they don't have hospitals, they don't have doctors, they don't have amnesia. I had, when he cut my foot to at first, when I first got there, to like try to drain it, it like hurt so much because he didn't want to give it a shot because the shot hurt so much. And then I'm sitting there thinking about the people over there who ever go to full surgery, having full amputations. And it just puts life into perspective, where regardless of what I'm going through, it's still not what they're going through. And it just, for me to even like cry and be upset about it, it just makes you feel stupid and guilty. But yeah, regardless, alhamdulillah for everything. I'm blessed for everything that God's given me. And I'm just blessed that it was caught. And now I'm still it's 6 weeks. It's not 6 months, right? I got to just keep telling myself that it's not like I'm going to be out for that long.
Right.
Yeah. And it's going to be quick. It's already been
exactly. And we're going to look back and I'll probably ask you a question, once you get your second belt, because we don't like talking about defenses, right? It's a whole new thing. But I'm going to ask you, I'm going to say, what was worse mentally? Waiting all that time to get your fight, or the staff, right? Or what you went through? And it'll be an interesting question to answer, right? Because you're going to get through this. I can see you're already starting to get through it. So in terms of like right now for you, like what's a typical day, dare I ask?
I started trying to be a gamer. It didn't work. I was like, bro, but I'll get like Lou will come over, Lou will hit me up, and everybody trying to bring me food. And I tell my brothers, my mom's like, I want to make you this. I'm like, no, I don't want no dessert. Right. I want none of this. I'm healthy. And
well, this is when we take Remember the Show to the moon, Cody, right? Because we got him locked in, right? He's always locked in anyway. So did you have any moment of eating, any moment where you were just like, fudge this, bring me half a cake? I know the answer. You're going to say no.
No, because like literally, like I said, we were locked into our diet already for Ian. So like even
right.
I was at the hospital for 5 days, and that was like one of the hardest things too, right? Because you're sitting in that bed and they're bringing you like hospital food, and then like obviously people are coming to visit me, and I'm like, bro, I don't even want you guys to visit me. I just want to stay here by myself. And then you're just like, you're waiting and hoping that they'll come in and be like, all right, you get to go home now. And they're just like, no, because they took a piece of the bone of the foot because they wanted to see so they wanted to give me the exact antibiotics that I needed for it, because they gave me some at first, and they were like, we had to take a piece of the bone just to see exactly what the infection is, because we don't want to just give you a bunch of just random antibiotics. We want to get the one that just hits that one. So then we had to wait for that. And it took they're like, all right, maybe tomorrow you'll leave. And they're like, maybe tomorrow you'll leave. And then there's like nothing on the TV in the hospital. And you're just like I'm watching Friends every single day.
Oh, bro.
I hate the stupid show.
Bro, unbelievable, man. It's just insane. Knowing you the way I do, it wouldn't surprise me if you were like, well, can you cut that toe off and I can still compete on December 7th?
It was close. It was close. I bet. It was close to it. But the guy's like, the doctor's like, no, it's savable, bro. It's like,
hey, I've been telling everyone you're the boogeyman. Shavkat, my guy come at you with 4 toes. You don't want none of my boy with 4 toes on 1 foot.
Imagine, bro.
So dude, we talk about like a fight date. Do you have like that 6-week date in your mind where that comes out and like you go do the stairs? I mean, what is there a date on a calendar?
100%. And like, I'm waiting. I'm just hoping to the point of like, even in the 6-week period that like, because I got a boot on my foot. So once the foot heals, he said it'd probably be like 3 weeks for the foot to heal. And I'm just like, all right, when the foot's healed, can I do squats, lunges? Because they still don't want me to do upper body stuff just because of the tube in my arm. So then he's like, yeah, but we still don't want you to sweat. So I'm just like, all right, well, I'll do enough squats until I don't sweat.
Bully, can you just do what they say?
Bro,
at one point on your phone, you have different words, whether it's discipline, patience. Can you please just do what the doctors say? Like, it could be the difference of like 2 weeks. It's like, can you not perspire as the doctors prescribe? Bilal.
We'll get there. I'm literally getting that from the
Joy Piper.
Like I get reached out by fighters, right? And then Chris Curtis hit me up, and he's like, bro, I know what you're going through. I dealt with it with my hamstring injury. Then I tried to come back, and I got another injury because I came back too quick. So he's just like, bro, don't be stupid. Take your time. You don't seem like the type that takes a rest period. Take a rest period. And I'm like, bro. He's like, well, trust me, I know how you feel. Don't do it, because I did it, and then you get other stuff injured. So
you know what's interesting though, bro? If you weren't gonna be so active, if your fight wasn't on the books or announced, who knows if this ever even gets out there, right? It's like you competed on July 27th, right? On my shirt here, champion of the world. Yeah, my boy won it July 27th, right? But you're gonna probably compete and defend it before then, right? Still, so
100%. Yeah,
get out of here. So main event, Muhammad will not be headlining UFC 310 in Vegas. And with respect to Alexandre Pantoja, promotional newcomer Kai Asakura, flyweights aren't going to be headlining UFC 310. So if you don't mind me asking you this, you like talking fights. I mean, how do you think the UFC fills your slot?
It's interesting, right? I mean, you just basically off what you saw off Twitter, you got Usman throwing his name in the hat. I just saw they announced Machado Gary against Buckley.
Right.
That's a big one. Cody just said Hamzat and DDP, but I don't know. I don't know if Hamzat could get to the US. And Pereira is always the guy, right?
Because he doesn't want that Ankalaev smoke. Ankalaev is happy to wrestle on December 7th, but
somebody came out with the stats. They said literally Ankalaev only had 4 takedowns in the last 4 years or something like that, or last 4 fights. So for people to say, and I think it was only the Blachowicz fight that he really went offensive wrestling, but his leg was gone, right?
Yeah.
So I look at it and you're like, he's not really crazy that much of like I'm gonna do a crazy wrestler. And then when you think about his jiu-jitsu, it's not like he's a crazy jiu-jitsu threat. So even if Pereira does get taken down, I think the way Pereira is moving, the way he's been looking good, I mean, for him, it's like, do I want to get Ankalaev right off a fight? I don't think he really took damage in that fight, but it's like, I know they're probably going to pay him a bag $1 million or something like that, millions and millions of dollars. But he'll be like, that'll be the craziest year for like any champion ever. Like for him to just keep going and being like Captain Save a Card.
Well, he ain't going to do it. And, but Magomed's happy to stand up and strike too. I just think maybe he would try and take Pereira off his feet. But dude, I mean, do you think, it's very interesting. Hamzat certainly, how about your boy Hamzat? Like, I know you've had a lot going on, so we typically would have broken down that card, but like, how about your friend Hamzat Chimaev?
He shut up a lot of naysayers, right?
Right.
He put a lot of people's doubts, and he showed you guys, he reminded a lot of people how good he is. But man, it's like, how do you not give him the title shot over Strickland? There's no possible way.
I agree.
You go out there, dominate Whitaker like that, and you don't give him a title shot. Especially the Strickland's last fight, which was a split decision to Costa. And I was like, for everything Costa says and does on Twitter, it's not like he's a world beater, right? He lost to Whitaker too. Whitaker dominated him. So for Hamzat to go out there and beat a guy like Whitaker, nobody's beat him like that.
Dude, I agree. And Dana White does what he wants to do. And so this would be a spot, I think. But, can Hamzat come here? Do you think it's realistic that Hamzat and DDP could compete? I mean, DDP seems to not really like, surprises.
I don't see DDP doing a short notice. I think that he has that date in his head for February. So I could see that one being it. Yeah. I could see them trying to do something with Shavkat, but he's calling for an interim title fight. And it's like, interim title fight, bro. It's 6 weeks, not 6 months that I'm off. But even for myself, if they want to just do that just to make it a main event, I don't really care about it if they want to make it a title fight, regardless, because they know who has the real belt. So for me, I know who my next opponent is going to be. If he wants to wait, it's going to be us. But if it ends up being him, and the only person really that makes sense right now would be Kamaru, since Buckley and Gary are out. And
right,
you said, I think JDM's injured. So there's really nobody else out there. But
well, isn't it interesting, right? Like for you, and I don't want to speak for you. Yeah, it's like interim, whatever. But there's an interim fight doesn't make sense right now. It just doesn't. And I could expand upon that thought, but I don't need to. Fine, an interim fight, even Shavkat Usman just doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, exactly. It really doesn't. But it's one of those where it's like I said, you're in the middle. When you're in the middle of camp, it's hard because we were like 6 weeks left, and you're like locked in. So I can understand him if he's like, bro, I want to fight, but. Yeah, that's the only part. It's like him and Usman are training partners. and you guys been at the gym with each other right now. It's like, were you guys looking at each other, watching each other? It's just weird.
Yeah.
So, I wonder who they would do. If it's not Pereira and Kalaev, I don't see it being Duplessis. I don't see it being, I mean, Wei Lee is always up there, but like I don't see them trying to throw that one in there. Like, yeah, we'll see what Hunter and Dana do, right? They're the best.
Yeah, figured out. But I will say, sort of back to what you're going through, right? So we're working on some different things for Bully. We got this basketball jersey, just a little tease here, right? And so we see some images of this jersey, right? And we're in this text chain, and this is right when Belal is going through it, right? And so I'm like, whoa, I'm shout out Joe Romero, Average Joe Art, right? I'm texting back in this chain, like this thing's, I'm using all my Chicago stuff, right? This shit's fire, right? And Belal, you don't hear from him. And then I get a text on the side, and Belal just sends me a video of like a hospital and like a metal pole and your face and then I think and a text. And so I don't know, man, like it's just been a crazy time, bro. And we love you. And like, we're going to make some bics here, but like, I don't know, man, it's hard not to go back and think about the last few weeks, man. It's been crazy, bro.
Yeah, it's been rough, man. But like you said, man, everything happens for a reason. There's going to be a moment where we look back at this and we're like, we needed that 6 weeks off. Yeah. It was like a break or something like that. But
yeah, meant to be. So that shirt, bro, is available now. Can we, I know you're, got your foot messed up, but can we see that shirt a little bit that you're wearing right now, bro? For those of you who haven't seen, Young LA new drop was on October 29th. I mean,
they went hard.
Dude.
Yeah, they went hard.
Those are
it's so funny too, because Giordani wanted to like shoot a whole bunch of videos in Chicago before the drop with me. And he's like, "Oh, I got this plan. And he had some sick ideas. And I was like, "Bro, it's not gonna work." And dude, he's like, "Oh man," but
it's so funny.
Shooting some cool, funny videos with him and John Jones, all them guys.
Yeah,
in there, but yeah, ended up turning out sick. He said everything basically sold out. And
damn. Well, dude, I'm it's too bad you didn't get to do some of that stuff, but it just, just life didn't have that for you. You would have been, it's funny. I was looking at some of your modeling pictures for Young LA after I knew what you were going through. And I'm like, this guy looks sad in his pictures, or is that just like his Zoolander face? What do we got? I'm like, is that his modeling face or my boy sad? All right. UFC Fight Night Moreno versus Albazi, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Cheers to our neighbors in the north. A lot of Canadians in my life these days. I do some work at Oddshark. They're all up there in Canada. So the main card, 8 Eastern. So, 7 Canadians are on this card, Bully. 6 of the 7 are favored. I say it because I remember last summer in Vancouver, I believe. Yeah, UFC 289, all 6 Canadian fighters won. So I may throw all the Canadians in a parlay. Only one of them's an underdog. I don't know which one. Shout out my guy, proper Mike Malott. I always love that quick story when we were playing in that basketball game where Jamal Hill hurt his Achilles. I'm sitting on the bench with Mike Malott, telling Mike Malott to get out there and feel my boy Belal, feel what that level of strength feels like. What a dick I am. All right. First pick in the heavyweight division, Derek Lewis versus Jonathan Janice. I hope I pronounced it right. I think I did, John. Sorry. Black Beast won 2 of 3, including his last octagon walk. That was May 11th in St. Louis. Round 3 TKO over Rodrigo Nascimento. This will be the Derek Lewis's 30th UFC appearance. Belal, paycheck, I'm sure, fat, win or lose for this guy. Gotta be. So Janice, fairly new to the promotion relative to the experience of his opponent. Perfect 8-0, undefeated as a pro fighter. He punched his ticket, to the promotion with a win on the Contender Series. That was September of 2023. Wins over Austin Lane and Carl Williams this year. Favored here a little bit, slightly, to remain undefeated. Derek Lewis plus 140, Jonathan Janice minus 166. Glad to be able to ask you, Belal, heavyweights, what's the big?
I mean, I remember this guy. This guy's a pretty good striker.
Of course you do.
Especially Carl Williams. But, I mean, Derek Lewis is just Derek Lewis, right? You never know which Derek Lewis is going to show up. He's had fights where he's shot double legs, and then he had fights where he'll throw a flying knee. And I think he said in an interview this week that, this guy don't speak English. I'm a wrestler. But, Derek Lewis just has that one-punch power, right, to put you out to sleep. And I think if anybody – in any striking fight, I'm going to pick Derek Lewis. I'm just going to give him a shot. I mean, he's been fighting smarter. He's finally off of that long losing streak that he had where it was back-to-back-to-back, but it was all against killers. he looked good his last fight. So I think I'm going to go with Derek Lewis here. I feel like he's going to get a nice little run going again with these guys that aren't these big names. He always does well against those guys. So I know this guy's 8-0, but he's still young. He just got to the UFC. He hasn't fought anybody like Derek, even though Derek is not really like you're going to go out there, you're going to see crazy technique or anything like that. He just has crazy power. And I think he hits this guy, one good punch lands, he's going to put him out.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how Derek looks over the next 2 days, because to your point, like I sometimes feel like you get a decent feel seeing him on the scale and everything else. Yeah. But I wish I could have rather than bet on the fight, bet on who you would have bet on, because I knew you were going with Derek Lewis. I think on the Anik and Florian podcast, Petrie was on the favorite. Kenny Florian was on the Black Beast with you. Moving on, co-main event, Aaron Blanchfield -142, Rose Namajunas +120. That nickname Belal, by the way, when we were doing the APFC, what was that guy? Tom, the status quo. Yeah. That is the greatest nickname in MMA. Come at me if you find a better one than Tom, the status quo. But two of the best nicknames here in MMA in the co-main event, cold-blooded Aaron Blanchfield, Thug, Rose Namajunas. I'm so interested in this bully. And like, this is one of those where like, I don't want to see someone lose, but whoever wins, I'm really excited to see them sort of chase it again. I know Manon Fior, who beat both of them, is in the way, but Thug Rose, after losing her flyweight debut, has won 2 straight, 5-round unanimous decisions against Amanda Hebus. Last time out was July over Tracy Cortez. Exciting, man. Like, I love Aaron Blanchfield. I always love when big stars or upcoming stars get that loss. She ran into Manon Fior, sort of showed her maybe there's levels to this, but you know, I think she's going to be more than ready, Aaron Blanchfield, in the striking department, more ready than she was for Manon Fior. I'm just looking forward to hearing you break this one down. We're going to force you to make a pick. Blanchfield the favorite. Rose comes back +120. Who you got? Belal Muhammad.
Yeah, right. I think Blanchfield, she had a wake-up call, right? Everybody thought she was going to be the next killer, the next big thing. Then you realize when she can't take you down, her striking looked terrible. She didn't understand distance. She didn't know how to go to a plan B. Rose has been in this game forever. She's seen it all. She's fought the best. She's been at the top for so long. The thing is, it's like Rose is just comfortable off her back a little bit too much, I feel like. If she gets taken down, she'll lay on her back. She'll try to go for subs off her back. She's good off her back, but I think for Blanchfield, her top game is just so good. If she gets you down, she'll hold you down. The thing with this is I think it's a 5-rounder. So
I should know that. Cody will drop that in the chat. Good.
Yeah, I think that changes everything for Rose. So I think if Rose, even if she gets taken out in the first couple of rounds, I don't see her getting submitted or dominated like that. So I think in the later rounds, she'll start waking up and using her jab, using her length. She does have pretty good wrestling when she wants to, or defensive wrestling when she has it. But yeah, I think Rose will end up pulling this one out. Blanchfield, I think she's coming off of a loss. We're going to see how good she is, right? If she changed things around, or if she used it as like a bad night. Fior's like a weird style to fight, karate style, but Rose is long too. Rose knows how to use her jab, knows how to use her high kicks. And I think Rose will be smart with this, especially on a nice little streak right now. She knows all it takes is one more win and she'll be fighting for the belt just because of her name. So I think I'm going to go with Rose here.
Underdogs in the first 2 picks at a bully. I like it. Rose Namajunas, I love that she's still competing, chasing gold, different division. I love it. Give me all of it. Main event, Brandon Moreno, Amir Albazi. Both remember the show champions, definitely contestants. I'm right. They both been on the show.
I think Moreno lost to Jamal.
See, dude, your memory is insane, right? Yeah. Probably had 200 fighters. If I name Cody, we got to quiz Belal. We'll drop a name of who they faced on this program. Episode 139. Shout out, Monster Energy. Where you at? All right. So, all right. So every time Moreno fights, it's like a championship fight or a title eliminator. And he's right back in the title picture. So comes in having lost his last 2, both by split. Brandon Royval, prior to that, Alexandre Pantoja for the flyweight title. He didn't look quite like his electric self to me in Mexico City that night against Royval. If he can bounce back, though, and get through Albazi, I think he puts himself right back in the picture. The Prince, Amir Albazi, that's a good nickname, too. Dangerous opponent here, 17-1 as a pro, 5-0 in the big show. Won a split over Kai Kara-France. That aged well, right, with the France win over Urseg. That was all the way back June 3rd, 2023. This fight has been canceled, rescheduled. Should get to see it here in 2 days. You know both these guys well. Anxious to see where you're going. Moreno, slight favorite. Albazi, +140.
Yeah, this is a huge fight especially for the division, right? It's for Amir. He's he's at the top, right? He's one of those guys. He knows he wins this. He's going to fight for the gold. I think he would even probably fought for the gold before this if he wasn't injured. I think he was out for a long time with a injury in his neck. But stylistically, people like you said, Moreno, he's on a 2-fight losing streak, but it's like to Pantoja and Royval. And even that Pantoja fight was close. It came down to the last back take from Pantoja.
Yeah.
And even a Royval fight, it's just like it was still pretty close. I think, like you said, mentally he just seemed drained after that, where he said he wanted to take some time off. He wanted to, like, quote unquote retire. I don't even think he took that much time off, honestly. But if I'm looking at it stylistically, I think Amir, he's good. He looks bigger, and I think he's going to be stronger. And I think he fights very smart. He doesn't go a lot of volume with his strikes, but I think Brendan, he gets hit a lot. He's been in a lot of wars. I think for Amir, if he uses wrestling, takes him down, holds him down, I don't think Brendan will have anything off of his back. And for Amir, he got his 5-round, the last one. So he had his 5-round decision last one. So he's been in there. He got that experience. He knows what a 5-round fight is, and he knows how big this fight is for him. So I think I'm going to go with Amir for this one. I think Brendan, I think he just burnt out. And obviously when you get to the point of, like, you're fighting for how many times did he fight for the belt? 3 times. And then you had to fight Royval, who should be the number 1 contender every time. Then now you're fighting another killer. It's to that point where you're like, bro, come on. Just let me get a little layup or something real quick. So I get get back in the mix. Like when you're fighting killer after killer after killer. And you're always the face, right? Because he's such a big star. He's always that guy that they're always promoting, making a main event. I think that he wasn't lying when he said he's burnt out. I think he needed to take a little bit more time off.
No, I think that point's very well taken by me. And sometimes the age, you can't just look at the age, right? A lot of miles, and there's a lot of noise, right? Like your life is not the same. You're in a different life now, being champion of the world. There's a lot going on, right? But you handle any speed bumps. Yeah, go ahead.
100%. And I think for him, he's like the face of Mexico, right? He has that. That's who he is when you're thinking about the Mexican fighters. It's always Moreno. So he always has to do something for them. So anytime you follow him on, like, Instagram, he's always doing something. He's always out here. He's doing a lot of boxing. So I'm interested to see how his hands look and how his footwork looks. But I just think that Amir's a hungry dog. He's starving right now, and he wants it bad. You can just tell he wants it bad. And I think he changed his camp to go train with Henry Cejudo down in Arizona. So to have Henry Cejudo behind him, game planning with him, showing him the ropes, showing him what it takes to win. And, Cejudo hates Moreno. And so that'll be interesting too. So, like, some inside stuff to think about. And I think his old coach was with when he fought him, right? When Figueiredo fought him. Cejudo's old coach was with him, Captain America. So, they game plan for him 3 times, so they understand it. So let's see how he does.
Yeah. Dude, so is the UFC going to go to Chicago? What's going on?
I hope so.
Right? Because, right, that's what'll happen, right? Is be like, you had to get staff because you're headlining Chicago. Detroit Viper, Belal, important question for you. What a great fudging question. I'm slowing it down to enjoy it. For your title defense, Belal, will you get custom shorts?
That's funny. I actually put a request in too for the custom shorts. So he sent it in. And
So, okay.
Exactly. Korea themed shorts. So we sent it in. So hopefully we were trying to see if we were going to get approved.
I'm sorry if I'm going to try so hard not to curse. Sent it in. Sent it in. Okay. I did the UFC Fight Pass watch along with Chase Hooper, and I asked him, I was like, if you could have custom shorts, what would you go with? And he was like, baby blue. I was like, oh, dope. No one's seen that. Great choice. Right. But Belal, they're doing this a little more loosely, right? I was in the UFC store and I took a video of some Leon Edwards shorts that were collecting some dust on the rack. But bro, like, come on, you must get them. Whoever you sent it to, we gotta come on.
Hopefully, for the next one for sure, especially because what's called shorts look sick. Moreno shorts, they look sick.
Topuria's were dope, bro.
Oh yeah, bro.
I know you don't like that guy. That guy run his mouth a little bit, but he's a good fighter.
Bro, I was like, man, should I tweet something right now? I want to be like, bro, you still suck. But I was like, dang, that was just such a nice knockout, man. It was like heartbreaking. It was like, I felt like my BFF lost.
It's so funny, and Ilia Topuria, I mean, he blows me away watching him compete. Like I said on another show earlier this week, when Joe Rogan interviews fighters and he said it was an honor to watch you perform. Like that is how Topuria made me feel. He's that clean to me. But yeah, man, so many people agree with you. Chase Hooper said on the watch along, he said, if Max loses, it's ruining my weekend. You know,
dude, literally that's what it felt like. I was like, come on, Max. I just felt bad for him. It was an amazing fight, right? And I think Max was doing good, but I think he got a little bit too comfortable, right? O'Malley said that Topuria is like Pereira, where it doesn't matter. All it takes is one punch.
Yeah,
take one shot, and it'll change the fight. But Max was doing well, especially with the kicks up the middle, using the kicks, keeping his lane. But I think he just got a little bit too comfortable boxing, and he was waiting for that. I think he was waiting for that Calvin Kattar moment where he could be like, "Who's the best boxer in the UFC?" But man, Topuria just did a good job of pushing him back to the cage. Do you think Topuria has a good shot against Makhachev?
Good question.
I don't. I really don't. I don't think so. I just think that Islam is a lot bigger than him, and Islam's going to change the game. He's going to mix it up. He's going to wrestle with him, and Islam can strike with him too. But I just think that Islam does everything so good, and Topuria is going to think I'm a hater, or people are going to call me a hater or whatever. But I'm just like, it's different when you go with Islam. He showed you guys how good he is. People thought Oliveira would knock him out. He dropped Oliveira, then tapped him out. They thought he couldn't box with Dustin Poirier. He boxed with Dustin Poirier, but he could also take you down anytime he wants and hold you there. And I know Poirier thinks that he has good ground game off his back, but nobody's good off their back when you're going against somebody that's just elbowing you and hurting you off your back.
So why be clumsy, if you don't mind, Belal, right? And with respect, right? We are talking right now to the number 5 ranked pound for pound fighter, in the promotion. So I'm going to just put a little respect on my boy's name, because my boy keep winning. Everyone's going to have to put some respect on the name. Islam versus Ilia, got to be the biggest fight in the UFC can make right now. I think that fight decides who the GOAT of the sport is. So yeah, Belal, maybe you're not quite the GOAT yet. Talk to me.
I mean, I don't think so. I just think that, like I said, both of them still have fighters to fight in their division. Islam, he obviously has a big fight that he's gonna fight right next. And then if you're looking at Ilia, the toughest fight I think for Ilia, if I'm looking at it, I think it would be Yair. And it's not just because I train with Yair. I just think the kicks make such a difference. It's guys that try to stand in the pocket and box with them that it's so hard to do. You don't want to box with them. You don't want to be in that boxing range. Yair brings kicks from all different angles.
It's really interesting.
And
that so distance, good luck getting in range there,
Yeah, it's so hard. Thank you, brother. But yeah, people are going to say that. But then, like I said, you still got Evilov, who's fighting Aljamain Sterling. Both of those guys are big names. And they're both a different style for Ilia to fight, right? They're grapplers, and they both have striking. When you look at even him against Bryce Mitchell, his striking really not there when I think about it. But I think Aljamain and Evilov, they both have good enough striking to throw it in his face, and then the wrestling to play that game. But if you're going to give him the Volk rematch, Volk has earned a rematch, obviously. Diego, bro, give me a Diego Lopez fight. He brings so much chaos, and he has so much power in his hands that all it takes is one punch from him. And his ground game is so good that's another very interesting fight.
No question.
If Diego wins 2 more, then I could give him that to start looking upward. But if I'm Islam, like you said, Islam's looking up at 170. And he's looking up at 185. I don't see him wanting to fight another guy at 145 because people already called him a weight bully after he beat Volk twice.
So John asked Kenny Florian who he thought would be a tougher preparation for Ilia Topuria, Diego Lopez, or sort of a rematch versus Volk. And what Kenny came back with, and I've heard a couple people say this, sort of concerns that Diego Lopez doesn't protect that chin enough against someone as technical as Topuria. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, he doesn't, right? But he creates that chaos. He doesn't protect his chin, but if you're in the middle of that chaos, Topuria gets hit as well. And
good point.
Diego has great power. He has bricks in his hand. We've seen it. He's rocked everybody he's gone with. I think probably except for Dan Ige. He's the only one probably didn't get rocked by him, but Dan Ige is Hawaiian, bro. They don't get rocked like that. Dan Ige is just tough. But yeah, I think that when you're looking at that fight, it's just they both love to fight in the pocket. I think Ilia is definitely way cleaner, way sharper with his boxing. But sometimes the harder guys to fight are the guys that come wild because they throw stuff at you that you don't see all the time normally. They don't give you the normal sequences or the normal rhythms of jab, cross, hook, jab, cross, hook. He goes cross, uppercut, cross, until he freaking rocks you. And then if it goes to the ground, he's good enough on the ground to make it interesting. We saw him do well on the ground with Brian Ortega. But yeah, I want to see. I wonder if they're going to make that Volk fight against Diego, because if I'm Volk, I'd rather just wait for Topuria if they're going to guarantee me that title fight next. I don't want to risk it against Diego because Diego's a killer.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And, for Volk, he's definitely alluded to at times not having a fight on the books has not been great for his mental health. But he does seem to be in good spirits, bouncing around, cooking with Volk. I mean, I could watch that guy do anything. So I would love to see him get another opportunity, because I don't think when he fought Topuria, it was an ideal circumstance for him or timing in his life and in his fight world,
Yeah, 100%, right? There's always stuff that goes into fights, and there's always things that you could say, but like, if I'm just looking at it stylistically, it's just a tough matchup.
It is
for him, because I mean, Topuria, he obviously has great hands, great boxing. But I think when he got into the UFC, his jiu-jitsu was what everybody said was his best thing. His jiu-jitsu and his I heard his wrestling is very good as too. So it's like, for Volk, what's your path to victory? He was doing well.
Yeah.
Right? He was hitting him, moving. But a lot of that time is Ilya setting up, and he's very setting up, getting you to the cage. And once your back is to the cage, it's like he lets loose, and he knows when's the right time to let loose.
Well, exactly. And I think for me, and it's just my opinion, but those that think Volk was doing pretty well, and even those that think Max was doing pretty well, like I saw a live line down here in Florida after round 2, minus 110 on both sides. And Ilya Topuria looked like he was going to win that fight, even though Max, like John said, he had people say to him, like that Max was sort of like piecing him up. And I'm like, no. The punches weren't having the impact that Topuria's do, right? Leon didn't like it when you hit him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't think Topuria was too bothered even by some of those strikes at him, Max, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think for Max, like I said, I think it was a lot of it's Topuria is just doing it to getting you backing up. He's getting you comfortable, and he's getting you thinking that like, oh, I'm hitting now. So you get comfortable, like I'm hitting him. And then you realize you don't realize your back's against the cage. And then that's where you want to do this whole time. Right. Cage.
Great point.
And he explodes. And that's why even like in the Volk fight where he's like, now it's my turn. I think that's what his mindset is. It's like, now it's my turn. Like, all right, hit me. He does a good job of always little movements. And then you get to the point of think, I'm hitting him. But that's where I think Yair is going to be so difficult, is because when you start doing that head movement, then a kick comes this way, then a spin kick comes this way, then a jumping kick comes this way. You're like, wait, what the heck? Like, that's where it makes it difficult, and that's where I think he's gonna have to play the wrestling game against Yair. He's not gonna have to strike. He can't strike him.
Great stuff there. Didn't even plan to go down there. Yeah, great stuff there, really, to bring us sort of toward the end. Remember, Leon got spiked on his head. So I didn't have this in my notes, but it just occurred to me. I know you don't like the cold. You're not allowed to sweat. You've talked to me about Jelly Roll getting into the cold plunges, because he also, Chef Larios also works for him. So are you allowed? I mean, what if we have the foot hanging out of a cold plunge as a way to do some sort of something? Are we allowed to do a cold plunge?
That's a good idea.
Good question, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
You're like, are you kidding me? I hate the cold. The one thing I can do. You're like, good question and a bad question.
No, just give me something, right? Give me something to like try to get better at.
So one thing that I almost said to you a couple weeks ago, because obviously I didn't find out about this yesterday with the rest of the world. One thing I almost said to you, and I knew there's a lot of people and promotion that have to figure out when to release this or whatever information, but I'm sure you felt the love once this news came out from the world. I to all the haters too, we say thank you. Okay. But you're right. I'm sure you felt a lot of love once this became public, from a lot of people that support you.
Yeah, 100%. It's like you said, 90% of the people that messaged me were like, they cared about the health. They didn't care about the fight. And it's like, even like, just like the random people where you don't expect it to come from, it just felt good. But like I said, I know the true people that are around me that are good, and the people that really care, and the true fans, like it means the world, right? That they're really caring about my health. And even Henry Hooft is like, get healthy, right? And I was like, man, I'm sorry about the cancellation, bro. You know, I know how hard it is. He's like, bro, I don't care about cancellations. Your health is more important than anything. You just come back to training. And I was just like, appreciate it. Like, it means a lot, right? When you got those, and like I said, Chris Curtis reaching out and like explaining his injury and stuff like that. Phil Rowe. So it's like cool when you get other fighters.
Yeah, man.
Like, bro, worry about your health more than anything first, because like I don't pull out of fights. Like, I've had so many injuries going into fights, injuries that this or that, and you're like, you don't think about it. But when it's an infection and it's like something that's like life or death, you're like, all right, well, now I think we got to listen to the doctor. Now we got to do this, and you're like, it puts you in a spot, right, where you're like, it's out of your hands, and you're just like, you feel helpless. Like I said, you just got to trust God's plan.
And I'm glad it's out of your hands with respect to my boy. All right, we're going to get out of here. Take care of yourself. Heal up. I'm always here for you. A lot of people are here for you. A lot of people on Team Muhammad. You'll get a chance to earn your second belt soon. All right. All Belal Muhammad merchandise, including this, John Anik stuff, the One More Sleep stuff. Code is One More Sleep, johnanik.com, 15% off. Cody Merrow, we appreciate you always being ready there for us, running it as usual. For the welterweight champion of the world, Belal, remember the name Muhammad. My name is Jason Anik. We'll see you next Thursday night. We appreciate you being with us on Remember the Show. Enjoy the fights. Take care of yourself, champ. Love you all.